Hello and welcome. The title of the message today is With a Healthy Eye. But let's begin by affirming our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe. God. I invite you to take a deep breath with me, bringing your awareness to this present moment, breathing in and releasing and relaxing into this present now moment, opening ourselves to Spirit, the teacher within us, so that we may take from this message exactly what we need to put to use in our life and just leave the rest for later. And so it is. Amen. So, a healthy eye on this brisk spring morning. I'd like to begin with a verse from the Sermon on the Mount. This verse is found in the Gospel according to Matthew in chapter 6. And it's two verses, verse 22 and 23. I'll be reading from the George Lamsa translation from the Aramaic language that Jesus spoke. So remember, the message is titled With a Healthy Eye. That word healthy comes from the New Revised Standard Translation of this same verse. The King James Version says, when your eye is single. But let's hear how George Lamsa translates these two verses. The eye is the lamp of the body. If, therefore, your eye is bright, your whole body is also lighted. But if your eye is diseased, your whole body will be dark. If, therefore, the light that is in you is darkness, how much greater will be your darkness? So what are we talking about? What's Jesus trying to tell us? In the Aramaic language that he has available to him, the limited vocabulary, there just aren't that many words in Aramaic. When you compare it to a modern language like English, the language that we grew up speaking. So first, the eye is the lamp of the body. So he's not talking about our physical eyeballs. And you can tell that from the context of the rest of the verse. What he's speaking about here is our perception. It's not what we see out there. It's how we see it. It's how we bring it into our consciousness. And there's this thing about the light, this light that's in our body. The eye is the lamp of the body. How we see what is out there and bring it into our consciousness affects the light versus darkness. It affects the energy, the frequency of vibration of our energy of the entire body. And we're not talking about only our physical body. This body is larger. It exists outside of our skin. This energy body. And if we're seeing with this healthy eye, when our eye is single, when our eye is bright, as George Lomsa says, then we are filling this body with light. We are raising our level of vibration. We are moving from our nafsha self, our sense of separate self, into alignment with ruah, spirit. But if we're not seeing this way, then we are full of darkness. We are becoming, in our perception, alone. And remember from last week, we are never alone. God is here, within us, all around us. So in relation to that, as I was preparing through the entire week to give this short message, Spirit brought me some guidance. And I'd like to share that guidance with you now, because what Spirit brings me from creation is important. Carl Jung might have called it a synchronicity. It's not just a coincidence that these two quotes that I'd like to share with you came from separate sources. The first one is coming from A Course in Miracles. The ego, this is what Jesus would be referring to as nafsha, the separate self. The ego is forced to perceive the reality of other egos because it cannot establish the reality of itself. So this nafsha self is not who we are. We know that. We are that true self. But our separate self is forced to see the separate self of everyone we encounter as the reality when it's not. And the reason is because our separate self can only vibrate at the level of its own existence. It cannot see past its own reality, which is false. And so it sees the false reality in everyone we meet. Now this is related to seeing with a healthy eye. Let me give you an affirmation that I got from a spiritual teacher this same week. And this one's a paraphrase because I didn't have it written down. I was listening to an audio book, and this is a quote from a man named George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. Anytime we're encountering someone, we can think of this. And it doesn't have to be angry. This particular quote uses angry. They are not angry at me. Their separate self is angry at me. They will never be mad at me because true self, self with a capital S, is never angry. This can be very helpful when we are looking at someone who's in their, what Eckhart Tolle would call their pain body, what Jesus will call when they are being dominated by their sense of separate self, when that separate self is the active voice of their consciousness. They might appear to be angry, but they are not angry. That separate self is angry, and they can never be angry. Their true self is never angry. It is always in this state of joy, peace, love. So this sense, when we can see with a healthy eye, we can see that this is really not the truth of who they are. My response to their being angry, if I end up in a triggered state, is not who I am. It is merely the interaction of two nafsha selves, two pain bodies feeding one another into more and more separation. And we are never separated. So we can remember, when we see with a healthy eye, when we are seeing the reality, the true reality, not this perceived reality of the separate self, but the true reality is that we are, each one of us, that Christ within us, that true potential that we all have, that was inherent in the original creation of our being. It's who we were, who we are, and who we will be. Before we have this body, we are true self. In this body, we learn separate self so we can live in this world, so we can be an expression of God in this universe. When we lie this body down, when we lay it down, we go back to being our essence, our true self. Seeing with a healthy eye, we light up, we raise the vibration of our entire energy body. We raise the vibration of the entire humanity in this way. My prayer is that something in this message has been useful to you. Let us close with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you.